hopefully you can see this okay. So how to stop being a people pleaser, very important in dating, because a lot of that sexual attraction is going to come from not being a people pleaser. So what we're going to talk about today is how to tell if you're being too nice to a woman, ways men give too much in the courting phase, unacceptable versus acceptable examples of giving, learning how to say no, ways to say no to anyone without being a jerk, and objection handling by saying no. Awesome. So how to tell if you're being too nice. Giving too much of yourself, giving too much of your time, your money, your efforts, or your attention can make a woman perceive you as low value, which can lead to her ending the relationship or just not being attracted to you anymore. So some examples of ways that men give too much in the courting phase. When you cancel your plans, if you had plans with friends, or maybe you had something that you were doing that's a hobby for you, and you cancel those plans to hang out because that's when she's available. That is a big, big no. We don't want to see that. This is unattractive to women because it subconsciously tells her that she is more important than you. Hanging out with her is more important than the plans that you have. If you're just going to change your plans every time she wants to hang out, then you're losing your identity also to her. And even if you do get into a relationship, that's going to cause problems with sexual tension in the relationship as well. A woman likes a man who has clear passions and interests and who pursues them at all costs. And this is true in the courting phase as well as in the relationship. So if at any point you lose your passion or you become less passionate about your work or your purpose in life, or you have less hobbies, you're not doing things for yourself to really make yourself happy, you're going to start being perceived as less attractive by the woman, no matter what stage of dating you're in. Changing your whole life to make yourself available to her makes you seem overeager and desperate. Other ways men give too much in the courting phase, spending too much money too soon. So we talk a lot about that in the date blueprints. Loaning women money to pay their rent or bills or groceries or car payments. That's a big, big no-no, you guys. Co-signing on apartments or car loans. Big no-no. Unless you guys are married, I just wouldn't do it. Letting her use your car or home like it's hers, or putting accounts and or property in her name before marriage. And this list comes from real clients who have been doing this. So make sure you guys are not doing this. It may seem like a good idea because you want to help her, you want to be the knight in shining armor, but it actually is going to have the reverse effect. It's going to make her less attracted to you, especially if it's early on in the courting phase or you just haven't known her that long. It's a big red flag. Other ways men give too much in the courting phase, over helping. So driving her around when you really don't want to, helping her move, helping her find a new job, but actually doing all of the work for her. Basically putting yourself out to help her over and over again. This sends the message that you are not valuable and she is. No woman wants a man who is less valuable than she is. She wants the guy who is hard to get, not the guy who bends over backwards and allows himself to be treated like a doormat, a taxi service, or a father figure. Cool. Other ways men give too much is changing their own house rules. So maybe you have it in your mind that you're going to wait until a certain time before you're going to introduce her to your kids. If you go back on your own personal rule, that is going to lower your perceived value in her mind because you had a rule for a reason and you want to stick to it. Whether or not your dog sleeps in the bed, that, it's your personal rule. You really want to stick firm to that. Boundaries are sexy. Whether you keep alcohol in the house or whatever else, make sure that your house rules stay the same because you're the man and we love boundaries. It's sexy when a man says no. It is. I hate saying that. So what I want you guys to do, especially if any of those ring true for you, I want you to get like an index card or something that you can put in your wallet. While you're not attached to anybody, I want you to create a list of acceptable and unacceptable behaviors that you can refer to when you're really excited about a woman to make sure that you're on track and you're not running into the danger zone or the unacceptable examples of giving. So you're going to make 3 lines on an index card. One is going to say acceptable, one is going to say danger zone, and then one is going to say unacceptable. So examples of unacceptables, things that you can write in that column. It is unacceptable to loan a woman who you aren't living with money for any reason. It is unacceptable to pay a woman's rent who isn't living with you. It is unacceptable to co-sign on a woman's lease if she isn't living with you. It is unacceptable to give a woman who doesn't live with you a car. These are all real examples. It is acceptable to buy a woman you're dating dinner, but it is unacceptable to regularly spend over $200 on dinners. Be especially cognizant if she always wants to go to the fanciest place and she always orders the most expensive dish all the time. That is a red flag. Okay, but now we have the danger zone. So sometimes things are acceptable, but it depends. So you're going to make this column in the middle of the index card. It's called the danger zone. And these are things that could be acceptable, but they could also be unacceptable depending on how long you've known her, how serious things are, how mature she is, etc. So the danger zone, if she doesn't offer to pay or split the bill, that's danger zone status. Now, you're not going to let her pay in the courting phase, but if she doesn't offer, that's a red flag. Putting down thousands of dollars that are non-refundable on an Airbnb or vacation when you've only been dating a short time, or when you haven't explicitly discussed whether you're boyfriend and girlfriend or in a monogamous committed relationship. Danger zone, real danger zone area. And you might add your own too. Okay, I don't have a list of acceptables now that I'm realizing it. That's funny. Danger zone and unacceptables. Let's just talk about quickly like things that are acceptable. It is totally acceptable to pay for dinner. It is totally acceptable to, let's see, pay for tickets to things. It is totally acceptable to pick her up at her house and drop her off at her house. Those things are great. But it is not acceptable to just be her taxi service. When she needs to get somewhere, you take her there without having a date or something that the two of you are going on. Those are a couple examples. All right, so let's talk about learning to say no, because a lot of women are going to test your boundaries, and that really is what it is. If you guys don't have kids, kids do this as well, but learning to say no and really create those boundaries is actually going to increase her sexual attraction to you. Sounds counterintuitive, but it's true. So Warren Buffett says the difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything, and you're going to do the exact same thing. So Warren Buffett has a 3-step rule for life. He says, number 1, write down your top 25 life goals. These can be, I think this is a great example that can be applied to your dating life, but let's just look at it in terms of like broad life goals. Next, you're going to circle the 5 that are most important to you. And then you're going to eliminate the other 20. And then also another pretty successful guy says, people think focus means saying yes to the thing you've got to focus on, but that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas that there are. You have to pick carefully. This is similar to the concept of mega dating. As you go through this process, I don't want you to be like, oh my gosh, Em, I could get 10 dates a week. That's crazy. Instead, I want you to be like, oh, I can get 10 dates a week, but I'm going to choose the 2 that I'm most excited about. And I'm going to keep doing that and keep doing that and keep doing that until I've upped the ante so much that the cream really has risen to the top, and I'm going to choose the very best partner. And so I'm going to learn through this process, what is a red flag? What is a deal breaker for me? And I'm going to learn how to say no to those people and gravitate more to the people that really are worth my time and energy. Okay, so your time and attention are limited. Any effort invested on lower priority goals steals away effort from higher priority goals. Instead, put all of your effort and energy into achieving everything on your top 5 list before even thinking about moving on to others. These 20 items, along with many other opportunities that may arise, like when a woman messages you and wants to go on a date with you, are simply distractions, getting in the way of reaching what truly matters most, as indicated on your list. right? So you're going to get really selective with your time and your energy. Simplicity is the key to success here. One fully completed project is better than five half-finished ones. Buffett suggests that you don't just prioritize what's most important, but you support this prioritization by avoiding everything else. So again, we can apply this to our dating life for sure by focusing on the women that we're most excited about, but also you can do this in life in general, and it can help to improve your dating game as well. So you've really got to keep control of your time, and you can't unless you say no. So an example of this is a first date's going really well. She wants to keep talking. And instead of saying you have to go or having somewhere you have to be, you just let that date continue. And then you wonder why she didn't want to see you again for a second date. Well, it's really important that you set those boundaries that we talk about in the first date blueprint. And you really don't want to let her set the agenda for the date. You don't want to let her set the agenda for your life. You really want to demonstrate that you're a leader and you're in control. Even a woman who's super driven and ambitious and decisive still is going to be attracted to the man who's leading. We all want to know that we're safe with a man who's leading us in the right direction. So that means you need to know what you want and be able to go after it and set boundaries around not doing things you don't want to do. So let's see how this shows up specifically in dating. Objection handling by saying no. I want you guys to get really good at saying no, because it's going to make the babes want you more, okay? So let's say she keeps inviting you on dates, but your schedule is too hectic and you're not that interested. Oops. So you could say, thanks for thinking of me, but I have too much on my plate right now. Or I'm sorry, this just isn't working out. I like you more as a friend and I wish you the best of luck. So being really honest and direct, really important, especially when you keep filling up your funnel more and more with more exciting women. This is an inevitable part of what's probably going to happen. And you can't be afraid to say no to the wrong girl, because you only need one and you need the right one. Another example, if she's hungry and suggests you get dinner on a first date while you're at happy hour, you might say, instead of saying yes, because you know, if you've watched the first date blueprint, that dinner is a big no-no on a first or second date. You might say something like, I would love to go with you, but unfortunately I can't because whatever. I would love to go with you, but I unfortunately can't because I'm allergic to wheat. I would love to go with you, but I unfortunately can't because I never do dinner on a first date. Would love to go with you, but unfortunately I can't because I only do dinner on a third date. Would love to go with you, but I unfortunately can't because my trainer will kill me, or I only do dinner with family and loved ones. Totally okay to say those things. Let's say she says, I want to do wine instead of coffee, or I'm sick of coffee dates. Let's get wine instead. I don't do wine until date number 3. You'll have to earn it with coffee first. That could be what you say. It's one example. You could also say, well, let's do coffee first so I can make sure you're not an axe murderer. Or right now, I don't really have a taste for wine. We can meet for coffee another day. You could also switch to a different location that would fit into the framework of a first date blueprint, but you know that getting wine is probably not going to work unless you maybe buy a bottle and then go to a park or something. But it's more about you learning to appreciate your own value and understanding that you can say no and not being afraid to lose that prospect, that prospective date. Yeah. Cool. If she says she can't meet Saturday, how about Sunday? And you know that Sunday is a bad day for first, second, or third dates. You could say, I can't do Sunday. That's family lunch day. Can't do Sunday. How about Tuesday? I'm on call Sunday. How about Tuesday? Now, I would never lie. These are just examples. You don't even need to give it a reason. I can't do Sunday. How about Tuesday? That's fine. It's against my religion to date on Sundays. How about Tuesday? If she lives far away and wants you to come meet her rather than her coming to you. Now, I'll just give you one thing to think about here. You do always want to make it easy for the woman. So ideally, I would have you going to her location rather than having her come to you. But let's say this is a girl that you're not super excited about, or you just have so many opportunities that you're not really worried about losing any, then you might use this. So you might say something, I'm on call and can't leave Portland or wherever you are. Or you could create such a compelling once in a lifetime TDL that she wants to come to you. Those are some options. If you really are excited about her though, and you don't want to lose that lead, I would definitely go to her just to make it easy, because a lot of times if it's too difficult for a woman to get there, she's going to flake or cancel. But if you're not super excited, you can do this. Let's say you get to the first date and she wants to order a bottle of wine rather than getting an individual drink. This is going to set you over the $10 limit, and you know it's not going to turn out well. So you could say, I don't drink wine, but actually they have this amazing drink, and then explain the value add of it. One example. Let's say she wants to stay for one more drink and you're like, ooh, that's my hour, I gotta go. I would say something like, I can't, I work early in the morning, or I have to drive, one's my limit. Maybe she wants to grab an appetizer. You say something. So another thing here is, this is why I love Saturday dates from like 11, like at 11 or 2, because you avoid that lunch hour and she's not going to be hungry. You're not going to be hungry. You kind of want to avoid those dinner time spots, because you don't want to get into the habit of going on a first date for dinner or spending a lot of time and money. Otherwise, she's going to see you as less valuable. So you might say, I just ate. I really shouldn't. I'm on a special diet. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm all set. Or real talk, the apps here kind of suck. Any of those are just fine. If she wants to split the bill, it's a wonderful sign that she respects you and she's not going to be a gold digger, but you're not going to let her because it's a test. So you might say something like, nope, my mama would slap me upside the head, or no can do, sweetheart, my mama taught me right. Very attractive. If she wants to talk more on the app before meeting up for a date, I would still try to escalate, at least so that you're not texting, because texting is like the kiss of death if you text too much. So I might say something like, why don't we chat on FaceTime so I can make sure you're not catfishing me, or stranger danger, or an axe murder, or whatever. And then give her a time and day to meet. Or, works for me, but my thumbs are broken. Let's chat on FaceTime. When she wants to keep dating, but you don't. Now, the more that you do this mega dating process, the more this is going to happen. And really, you have to get good at rejection, because again, there's only one. You're only looking for one, and she needs to be the right one. We don't want you settling for anybody that's not really, really perfect for uniquely you. So you might preface by saying, I know this isn't the answer you're looking for, but, and just explaining honestly, like, I just don't feel the chemistry that I need. I'm just not feeling, emotionally connected in the way that I really need to. Just be honest. It's much better to be honest than to go along and get pulled into a relationship that really isn't right for you, that you knew isn't right for you from the beginning. You really got to work on the boundaries. So, so important. And anybody who's stuck in a relationship that wasn't right for them for too long knows how important this is. If all she wants, let me just say one more thing about this. Let's say she wants to keep dating and you're not sure. I would express that as well. Like, I'm really not sure how I feel about this. I just need a little bit of time to get clear. Or maybe you're dating her and you like her, but she's trying to get all exclusive with you and you're not ready for it. Again, I would just be honest. Be like, I really am enjoying getting to know you and I am excited for where this is heading. But that being said, I'm really working on learning more about myself and what I want and need in a partner. And I'm just not ready to commit to any one person right now, but I do see a lot of potential here. And ultimately I am looking for the right partner. I'm just not ready to make that commitment right now. I hope you can understand. Yeah. So just being really honest and direct. If all she wants to do is text and you want to talk on the phone, you could stop responding. Okay. You don't want to reward bad behavior. It's an honor to be your pen pal, but I've reached my iMessage limit. Or don't respond at all to another text message and then call her if she sends positive messages. Or you just say, my thumbs are getting tired. I'm a lot better with my lips. Let's say she's busy studying and can't go on a trip with you. Rather than being like, oh, okay, that's fine. You could challenge her by saying something like, if you were a better manager of time, you'd figure it out. Or you can work on pitching the trip better. Okay, 6 things the most successful people say no to on a regular basis. They say no to opportunities that don't excite them, speak to their values, or further their mission in life. And this also goes for women you're dating. So saying no to women that don't excite you. If you're in the very beginning process, okay, I want you to sort of open the floodgates and open your mind to new people that you may not have dated in the past. For me, I opened up to people with different religions, political preferences, ethnicities. I really wanted to gain experience so I could figure out what I really, really genuinely wanted. So I do recommend doing that in the beginning. But once you're in the process of getting at least 2 dates a week, now I want you to start practicing saying no to the women that don't excite you, right? We want to really start getting selective as we go through this process so that we find the very best, most compatible partner by the end of it. So really, you want to make sure that your values are in alignment and that you share a similar mission in life. All right. People also, successful people, say no to spending time with uninspiring, critical, or negative people who drag them down. So I want you to really watch for women like this. Uninspiring is subtle. It's super subtle. She could be super hot, but she's very uninspiring. Pay attention to that. Does she light your fire, or is she just pretty to look at? You can find a beautiful woman who is also super inspiring to you. So don't settle for just one half of the equation. Also critical. A lot of times, if you had a critical parent growing up or a critical family member, you may find yourself repeatedly selecting partners that are critical as well because it feels familiar. But I want you to be very, very conscious in your selection process, using your ideal girlfriend profile so that you're being really aware of when you're dating somebody who is being critical. And sometimes in the beginning, it's not as obvious. Sometimes it shows up as sarcasm and they're like, oh, it's so funny, right? Or it's just like passive aggressive, but really pay attention. You don't want to surround yourself with friends, family, or women you're dating who are critical or negative. They're going to drag you down. If you feel tired after hanging out with her, she's not the right one. You want to hang out with the people that give you energy. And that's true also of your friendships and other relationships in your life. And as you go through this process, you might start to change the way that you show up in other relationships as well. So pay attention to that. Your time is precious. So choose a small circle of people who will energize you and challenge you to be better. Cool? Also pay attention to friends that may be negative or giving you information that's dragging you down. Pay attention to how you feel throughout the day. All right. So successful people also say no to overworking. So while it's true that some successful people and many entrepreneurs put in 60 to 80 hours per week, very few successful people are workaholics who neglect self-care and family. So if your exercise routine is not a priority in your life, if eating healthy isn't a priority, if having hobbies that really excite you in your life is not a priority, those are things that you really want to focus on shifting so that you can show up and be happier and more fulfilled. That's going to make you more attractive to women, but it's also going to make you more successful with women as well as in your life. They recognize that if they can't take care of themselves, everything else suffers. So important. All right, successful people also say no to doing all the work. So if you're in this program, I already know you're a super hard worker and you're super intelligent. Chances are you take on a lot more work than you need to in the workplace, especially if you've been told that you're a little bit of a people pleaser or something like that has come up. So I want you to start practicing saying no to doing all the work. It's especially important in your romantic relationships as well, because if you're doing all of the work, paying it for everything, taking care of everything for her, and she's not giving you anything back, or you're not making space for you to receive anything from her, that is going to cause the relationship to fail as well. And it can set you up for a gold digger dynamic. So successful people expect the people in their lives to contribute equally and make space to receive as often as they give. So look at your friendships, look at your family relationships, look at your coworkers, and look at your romantic relationships and see, do the people in my life give to me as much as I give to them? And if not, why not? Am I not allowing people to give things to me? And how can I make space to receive as well as to give? Because that's really what's going to contribute to a more fulfilling relationship. All right. They also say no to giving the steering wheel of life to anyone else. And this is true in dating as well. So all of those examples we just walked through, when women say, hey, I want to do wine instead, or I want to get dinner or whatever. You don't want to give her the steering wheel. And to be honest with you, she doesn't want you to give her the steering wheel. She wants you to drive. She wants you to lead, and it's your life. So it's important that you are leading it in the direction that you want it to go. And women especially are looking for strong leaders. All right, they say no to people pleasing. Successful people don't neglect their deepest wishes and desires to accommodate and yield to others' wishes and desires. This can be very subtle, the people pleasing thing. It often comes from growing up in a household where you had to please a parent, or you were trying to always please a parent that maybe could not be pleased. And it gets really ingrained in us that, you know, we want to be the good child and the good person and the good worker and the good partner. But try to get clear about when you're giving people validation and approval and saying things like, oh my gosh, I love that. That's amazing. Wow, you're so interesting, and giving compliments, things like that. Start paying attention to when you're doing that inauthentically. And this can be a long process. It's usually really deeply ingrained, and a lot of it has to do with how we were raised. But practice not giving approval and validation, especially on your dates. Because when you're giving her approval and validation, she feels as though she's won you over already. And that means you're not hard to get, and therefore you're not valuable. So be really cognizant of the people pleasing. Okay. So here's some ways to say no to anyone when you don't want to be a jerk. So a little cheat sheet. Use the word no. It's okay to say no. Don't go on and on. Like we said, we saw that one example where it was like, can't do Sunday. How about Tuesday? I don't need to know why you can't do Sunday. That's for you to know. Don't be afraid to say it twice. If need be, use because, but you don't even need to say because. Why? It doesn't matter. Just smile and shake your head no. Remind yourself of the opportunity cost. So when she says, oh, let's grab another drink, remind yourself that that's probably going to mean she doesn't see you again for a second date. And if she does, it's just much less likely. Thanks, but no thanks. Buy some time. So if you need a little bit more time before you can say no. I'm flattered, but no thank you. I really shouldn't. It's not the best time. I know this isn't the answer you were hoping for. Make sure that you trust your gut as well. This is really hard sometimes in certain settings, but pay attention to how your body is feeling when, you know, sometimes when we take on more than we can handle, it actually causes problems. Like I'm thinking of the workplace, but it can cause problems because then you can't actually accomplish what you said you could do, because you just want to say yes, even though it's not really practical. And then you can get in a lot of trouble. And that definitely goes for romantic relationships, because if you tell a woman you're going to do something and you keep saying yes, even though you can't actually do it, she's going to get pissed, and it's actually going to turn you into a liar. So it's better to really trust your gut when you know that maybe something is too much for you, or you wouldn't be comfortable doing it. You could provide an alternative. Yep, Sunday it doesn't work, but how about Tuesday? Negotiate. Don't delay. So it's best just to say no, or I'm not sure, I'll have to think about it. So creating buying some time rather than saying yes and then going back on it later. But you can, go ahead and change your mind if you realize that you said yes to something because that's your pattern and really you're not comfortable with it. So maybe she said, oh, I'd love to hang out on Wednesday. And you're like, yeah, sure. And then you think about it a little more and you're like, I just don't think that we're aligned. It's okay to then shoot her a message and be like, I thought about it a little bit more and I'm just not feeling the chemistry that I need. Say it often. So practice getting in the habit of saying no. Also avoid serial askers. Some people will push your buttons and push your limits. And so you just you got to practice saying no and kind of avoid those people. You might say not now. It's not you, it's me. You can also air your discomfort. Like, I really want to say yes because I know this is important to you, but if I say yes to this, it's going to make me feel really uncomfortable because of this. Yeah. I wish I could. It's not possible. It's an honor. How lovely of you. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm all set. Yeah. Cool. And that wraps up this training, guys.